welcome to People Like You. Many young people involved in performing arts are faced with an ultimatum: pursue their artistic dreams or commit to higher education. Those who forego an education can have difficulty finding work when their careers conclude. Mark Baird is the director of the LEAP program at St. Mary's College, which is designed to offer higher education to former performing arts professionals. Stay with us to learn how this unique program is creating opportunities, so don't go away.
St. Mary's itself has a very sort of robust and actually world-class performing arts department as well as School of Liberal Arts. So it's kind of a natural home for LEAP to develop in that.
Welcome back. Today's guest, Mark Baird, has been a part of the world of dance for over 40 years and is now a pioneer in bridging the gap between performing arts and higher education. Thank you for being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
First of all, what does LEAP stand for?
LEAP stands for Liberal Education for Arts Professionals. LEAP is a Bachelor of Arts degree specifically designed for current and former professional dancers, so that while they're dancing or even after they've danced, they can access higher education, go to college, earn a degree.
And you're the director of the program, and it's at St. Mary's College. Okay, and so describe in more detail why it is necessary.
Dancers especially, they're somewhat unique in that they start training from a very early age, maybe 5 or 6 years old, when they were 5 or 6. And if they're going to be successful, or if they are successful, they're already performing and touring and doing all those things dancers do. By the time they're 17 or 18, which is the same time when their peers would be starting their college careers. And so basically what happens, they start early, they train, focused hard, and by the time they're at college level, they're actually performing and touring and rehearsing and all those things dancers do.
Is no way they can actually go to a college or university or be, that kind of full-time commitment.
It hasn't been possible before LEAP, only because if you imagine a dancer's life is 8 to 10 to 12 hours in the studio all day long, 6 days a week, performances at night, so a dancer trying to fit into a college schedule to take the courses required to graduate, they can never really do it because they had to be obviously in the studio rehearsing.
And presumably during that schedule, when they start at a young age, they're homeschooled or in some other kind of
probably not. I mean, they're probably going to traditional grade schools, and many go to a traditional high school as well. Some might do some homeschooling for high school, or maybe get their GED.
Depends on the level of commitment, or if they're traveling the world.
Exactly.
I suppose. Okay. And so St. Mary's has a LEAP program. How did that connection occur?
LEAP was founded back in 1999 in St. Mary's. St. Mary's had a School of Extended Education, which was a school of various and innovative programs for adult learners. LEAP, St. Mary's itself has a very sort of robust and actually world-class performing arts department as well as School of Liberal Arts. So it's kind of a natural home for LEAP to develop in that, where LEAP students are earning a Bachelor of Arts in Performing Arts. There's a great performing arts department at the school. And really allow those two elements together, I'd say the Performing Arts and School of Liberal Arts, really allow LEAP students to take coursework that, for the degree that's required, but also to take courses that are important for things like, exploring new areas of interest, or discovering new passions, or all the kinds of things that a traditional college student would get to do, but in a situation for adult learners.
Okay. Now, you've been involved in performing arts for 40 years, that you will admit.
That I'll admit.
So, did you find yourself in a similar situation at some point?
Definitely. I finished up the dancing portion of my career, which was 20 years in Europe. The last 12 years were in Europe. And I decided, okay, I'm going to come home, I'm going to start a new career, but I had no idea what I could do. And just I think, as was the case for almost any dancer, those last few years are really terrifying, because you don't know what you can do, if anything. You think you have no skill other than being able to dance. Suddenly you're thrust into a world without an education and with no real way to kind of make that shift. And I think maybe even more importantly is, dancers, their identity is as a dancer. You start so young, like I mentioned.
Right.
All those
That's
years.
their world.
Exactly, it's their entire world. It's their friends, it's their paycheck, it's their structure, their infrastructure. It's everything. And suddenly to face losing that without knowing what's next, without that bridge, is terrifying for a dancer. It certainly was for me.
So, so you had to make that transition probably in those last few years. Can I last one more year? Can I do this one more year? You know, trying to make that decision. So when you stopped, what did you do?
I stopped, first of all. I had no idea what I could do. I thought maybe I could, work at a hotel or something. I spoke a couple languages at that point. But I really had no idea how to take the skills and experience that I had and transition that into a new career. I got luckier than maybe most dancers do. I happened into client retained executive search, which I did for a few years, headhunters basically.
Right.
And it was great, and yeah, I kind of felt I wanted to be smart, and I wanted to be in the corporate world, and I thought that meant being smart. And indeed, I learned I was smart, but I also learned that, my corporate colleagues were very passionate about their work, and I could see that I didn't have that passion for the corporate world.
Was it because you were, not to interrupt you, was it because you think you entered it later, or because your interests were totally different, which is why you maybe went in dancing anyway?
I missed working with dancers. I think that was probably the big part of it. I love the people with whom I worked in the corporate world, but I really missed working with dancers. I didn't necessarily want to teach or choreograph or those things, but to find a way to be with dancers again and to help them, that motivated me. And I learned about the LEAP program, enrolled in it, and kind of the rest just sort of happened.
Okay, so you are actually a graduate of LEAP yourself.
I'm the very first cohort of LEAP students.
The very first at St. Mary's. All
Yes.
right, so tell us about that experience.
It was amazing, to be able to actually go to college in a way that felt safe. Everybody else in the room was a current or former dancer. We all sort of came from the same place. Dancers can be very fearful about things like going to college because they don't think that they're smart. Dancers are perfectionists by nature, and so if you do a double twirl to the knee, it's either perfect, an A, or it's an F. And they tend to approach academia the same way, as far as I have to be perfect, otherwise it's a failure. So there's that whole dynamic of dancers going to college.
But I would guess memorization is not a problem.
No.
I mean, there are several aspects of school that as you actually participated in that environment, you probably gained some confidence.
Absolutely, and really learned that a lot of the skills and experience that we have as dancers, they're transferable. Actually, that sense of perfectionism, being deadline driven, all the things that we feared that we wouldn't be able to do well actually kind of came naturally once someone gave us the platform upon which to do that, the bridge.
I want to talk so much more about this. I want to know if full-time, performing arts students can actually participate now. Do they need to wait? So much more. We'll be back. More with Mark Baird when we return, so don't go away.
Bit by bit, the courses get more difficult, more challenging, but it's all very sort of incremental as far as the degree of difficulty for each of the courses, so we make it safe.
Welcome back. We're here with Mark Baird, and we're talking about the LEAP program. Now, as a graduate of this program, you know firsthand how difficult a task it is. So tell me, for those that are watching, afraid of college or university, how were you able to cope?
You start relatively gently. It's just one course per semester. It's just a course. We start with a writing course, and you build your writing skills, and that gives you some confidence. Then a literature course, and you build your reading skills. And bit by bit, the courses get more difficult, more challenging. But it's all very sort of incremental as far as the degree of difficulty for each of the courses. So we make it safe.
What does your student demographic look like?
It's quite diverse, both ethnically, age-wise. LEAP students can be anywhere from young dancers at the start of their career, just wanting to get a head start on college, to retired dancers in their 60s. I started the program when I was 40, so age-wise, right across the board. Also, all kinds of dancers, ethnic dancers, ballet dancers, modern, jazz, Broadway, tap. So really, in every direction, it's quite diverse.
I would guess that dancing can be really hard on your body for so many years. So, as you leave, are you you do need to be repurposed, perhaps, in many ways in your career.
It's a good word for it, I think, and you're very correct about that. I mean, those maybe, you know, most dancers have to retire by the time, you know, in their 30s, just because, you know, dance takes a toll on the body. And what's always been so difficult is at such a relatively young age to face a whole new career, but without the tools or maybe the confidence with which to approach it.
Well, and in the world of athletics, you know, students are not drafted until they've actually gone through college. There is a process in place. So an athlete may retire in their 30s, but they have some other training that they can actually fall back on. And in this case, what the dancers really have are high school education.
Exactly.
And in the world today, it seems as if you don't have a 4-year minimum education, then you really do not have a good opportunity for to be able to support yourself.
Yeah, that's correct, certainly. And we you know, we hear statistics about, you know, how much college graduates earn versus those who haven't. But I think even maybe slightly more important would be that discovery of a new passion. I mean, dancers have such a passion for their careers, and to find that next thing to be passionate about, that's I think the most important thing we sort of at least make available to them, that you can discover some great new passion that you're as excited about as you were about dance. So you're excited to go on to that next part of your life and career, as opposed to dreading it because you don't know what it's going to be or you're not going to like it.
Okay, you make this very convenient. Tell us, I mean, some of the classes are held in hotels and it is online.
It's mostly face-to-face, actually. What I do is we schedule, first of all, LEAP students just meet once a week for 4 hours, as opposed to 4 times a week for 1 hour, which would be a regular college schedule.
Per class?
Per course, yes. So say, for example, the first writing course has 10 class meetings, but just once per week for 4 hours. Here in San Francisco, classes meet on Sundays from 6 to 10 p.m. So nobody's performing or dancing or rehearsing. You know, they've finished their matinee of Swan Lake at San Francisco Ballet, take a shower, grab something to eat, and then come to the hotel conference room, which is right close by, so they can actually take the classes that meet face to face.
What else do you do to accommodate the students?
Lots of things. I mean, we do there are some online options for some of the courses, especially electives. We also put together a lot of independent studies for students. If one student really wants to do an internship or study something that is maybe of interest just to that one student, we'll find a professor to work one-on-one with that student so they can explore what they want to explore, while maybe another student really wants to study math or literature or whatever they want to. So a lot of independent studies, so students can individualize their course of study and kind of emphasize where they want to as part of their degree process.
But LEAP is not only in San Francisco.
Correct. Let's see, we started here in San Francisco in 1999. I brought the program to Los Angeles in 2004, New York in 2007, and then we just opened our first Las Vegas program this last spring.
Okay, and then I would guess that if there's a test that needs to be conducted when, you know, because you did indicate that this is open for those that are still involved in performing arts. So if you have a test, they're out of the country, is that something they can handle online?
Either online, maybe through video conference with the professor, or make up the exam with the professor when they come back. I might sit and proctor an exam for them. We always find some way to make it work if they're out of the country or performing or can't attend a class or something.
And is it expensive?
No.
College is expensive.
You're very right, it is. And while I won't go into maybe what the traditional undergraduates are, you know, what their degree costs them, the entire LEAP program, which is basically a 3 to 4 year program, the whole program is only $25,000. If you divide that amongst the years, it's about $7,500 a year, which is much, much less than, obviously, as you know, most private colleges.
Do you take into account education that they've received along the way in terms of touring and some of, I mean, do they go through exactly, you know, 4 years worth of credits? Or
they're actually going part-time. It's a great question. LEAP students earn up to a full year's worth of college credit for their professional experience. They earn that because they've already earned it. They've already done that. All those courses that traditional undergraduates have to take, the dance classes and things. LEAP students have done that. They also earn up to another 30 units worth of credit for other prior learning experience. So they can actually earn up to half of the units to graduate by having danced and lived.
Right, okay. So before we go to break, if someone were interested in this program, how soon could they start?
Tomorrow. Well, maybe they have to apply, but certainly we accept applications year-round. If the course isn't maybe about to happen, we can start them with an independent study on something, an elective, so they can start anytime.
All right, that's great. Okay, well, when we return, Mark will give us more details about the program, including how to apply, so don't go away.
LEAP grads have gone on to become doctors, lawyers, physical therapists, international relations experts, art history majors, music majors, psychologists, all sorts of things.
We're back with Mark Baird, director of the LEAP program at St. Mary's College, which is a beautiful campus, by the way.
It is.
I have been there, and you teach there. So.
I don't teach personally. I direct the program,
Yes.
but certainly I have a lot of faculty there that do teach.
You should teach.
I would love to teach. It's also a question of time, sort of directing a national program. My plate gets rather wonderfully full. But
Okay, so what have some of the students done with the degrees?
lots of things. Gosh, LEAP grads have gone on to become doctors, lawyers, physical therapists, international relations experts, art history majors, music majors, psychologists, all sorts of things.
So they are in no way limited
No.
at all.
And the reason is that is each student has a very individualized course of study. They can emphasize where they want to. So if they want to go on to grad school for psychology, they can emphasize in that, for example.
Who is eligible?
The only requirements to enter the LEAP program are at least a couple of years of professional dance experience, of any kind of professional dance, and a high school diploma or equivalent.
Okay, so therefore I could not.
As much as we'd love to have you, unless, I don't know, if you got some dance moves to show me, maybe
No.
we could.
No one wants to see those, believe me. So
Okay.
maybe I'll look for another program. But
Okay.
I'm glad LEAP is out there. And you talked briefly on online. There are online options, but basically it's face-to-face, but you make it very convenient.
Yes.
And this is national. This is not just within the Bay Area.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. How long does it normally take to complete the program?
It's about a it's a 10-semester program, so if they do one course per semester, it's 3 years in a semester.
Okay.
Yeah, they might need to stop out. Maybe they're going on tour or have to take a break or something and can make up that semester or that course with the next group. But it's basically a 3 to 4 year program.
What is ahead for LEAP? My
Gosh.
guess is this program will grow.
Indeed, and we get so many requests for the program now. Portland, Oregon wants LEAP, Chicago, Washington, D.C. So certainly the word is getting out there because it's really the only opportunity for professional dancers to go to college, and so they're all hearing about it. And we try and grow slowly so we can keep giving the individual one-on-one attention that we give to each student. But my goal is every dancer in America who wants to access higher education, go to college, that we can find a way to serve them.
And you wouldn't actually grow into some other professions, for instance, acting. Normally people go to college for that experience before they go on Broadway, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, many actors and musicians, as part of their career, they will actually go to college
Right.
and maybe get a BFA in that art, whereas, again, dancers really just don't have that opportunity to go to college when their peers do. So.
All right, because honestly, they need to pursue this when they are in their 20s.
Exactly, or even earlier.
Or
I mean, by
earlier,
the time they're
right.
16, 17, they're already entering the corps de ballet of a company or dancing, professionally, however they do it. And so really, during those college years, that's when they really have to make their mark if they want to be professional. If they wait till after college, it's probably too late for them to get some traction as a professional dancer.
How did LEAP change your life?
Gosh, so I wouldn't be here talking to you if it hadn't. But again, I think I mentioned I had no idea what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be passionate about until I went to school, and then LEAP really opened up so many windows for me as far as things I could dream about being. And when the opportunity came about to actually be able to work with dancers in this way, on their academic futures and their professional futures, I mean, suddenly I'm as passionate about this as I was about being a ballet dancer. So, I mean, absolutely, it changed my life.
What degree did you actually pursue?
So all LEAP students actually get a Bachelor of Arts in Performing Arts. It's a liberal arts degree. It's in Performing Arts because of all the credit that they get for their performing arts experience. So they all get the same degree, but again, we really sort of individualize their course of study so they can go on to become all those different things that we talked about.
Okay, and since you're here in the program we're talking about, basically is at St. Mary's College. Give us just a little insight into St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, so I mean, gosh, founded in 1863, if I'm not mistaken. It's a Christian Brothers institution. Very rich in liberal arts, a very strong LaSallian mission. It was such a natural fit. I mean, the Catholic mission of helping the needy and helping the poor and building community. I won't say dancers are poor, but they make much, much less than their corporate counterparts. So we really, those missions were such a good fit for LEAP, as well as the LaSallian mission and the liberal arts mission. Those three together really, created such a great and natural home for the program that I think it couldn't help but flourish. I just had to get out of the way and make sure it did what it would normally do.
And that is actually another good point that I understand about this program. Many of the dancers do this, or performing arts individuals, because they really enjoy it, and it is what they may consider a gift. but not necessarily paid well, so that they can, have a nest egg. So when their bodies begin to break down under the stress of leaps,
Indeed.
for example, they don't really have anything to fall back on. And then without the education, it puts them in a really interesting perspective to be able to support themselves beyond that. So.
Absolutely, and if you're retiring from dance at 30 or 35, you've got a lot of earning years ahead of you. So basically, what we try and do is, okay, let's get a good head start on those so you can jump right in and get going on that. You can still work till you're 60 or 70, as we probably all will have to, and want to. But it really gives them a chance to maybe not make up for all that lost time financially, but certainly to be able to be fine at the end of it. It gives them that tool.
Well, thank you for being with us today, Mark. It is a pleasure to get to know you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. To find out more about the LEAP program or to apply for the program, visit stmarys-ca.edu/LEAP or go to KTLN-TV. Remember, the KTLN is a donor-supported program. Programs like this one are made possible through your support. Join us again next week.